And then slowly opening the eyes. I was talking today in the meeting about the importance of being vulnerable. Because we always accommodate everything in our heads. And we have to go much deeper than that. You know, it's nice that we have these higher ideals, these spiritual ideals. But deep inside, all of the separation happens when we're little children. And how are little children? They're very sensitive. They often think everything's their fault. And they start to create separation. And it's not something intellectual. It's a feeling. I got a fright. I felt unprotected. I felt like I didn't belong. They're very raw, basic human feelings. And as we grow up, we forget about those things and we start to accommodate everything in our heads. And we start looking externally for love. But this experience that's underneath is always like this hot lava that's bubbling, no? And it's looking for an escape. And in any moment, it explodes. It can explode. It can become a panic attack. It transforms into fear that affects every aspect of our lives. It makes us feel like victims. It makes us feel unloved. And in order to control this, we control the outside. We stop being emotional. We stop feeling. And we start to stuff everything. We always have excuses for everything. We feel guilty for everything. And an accumulation of behaviours that come from the head. This is the cause. But we don't know that because we accommodate everything here. And we change everything here. We blame the outside so we can be happy. Or we blame ourselves. It depends on your mechanism. But all of the attention's external. As we start to go in with the facets, we start to connect with that child. And that is what's important. And it's not about an understanding. It's much deeper. Oh yeah, I feel like that because my father left when I was 2. And I feel like that because I was adopted. Or I feel like this because my mother had this problem when she was pregnant. Or I feel like this because I was the middle child of 12. You know, we have all these ideas. But the child didn't understand any of that. All the child knew was fear. And that is what you have to heal. That root stress that separates you from your internal divinity. That unconditional love, that innocence you had before this happened, before this transpires. And this is why we have the facets. So it doesn't matter what you think you've healed or what you think you know. or how much work you've done on it, or what your psychiatrist said, or what your psychologist said, or what your best friend said, until you heal that angst, that separation, you won't experience your consciousness permanently. So forget everything you know and go in and be innocent. Stop protecting yourselves with your head. And the more need to control you have, the more you're pretending that you're perfect. Oh, yes, I worked on that. Oh, yes, I worked on that. Oh, no, I'm beyond that. You can be really sure that you're the worst. You just have a really good mask. An enlightened mask. Well, enlightened masks will not protect you from suffering. Enlightened masks will not give you freedom. Enlightened masks are very fragile, and just one touch in a serious place and they come crumbling down. So just open. Use the facets, allow them to do their work. Just have a big yes. Okay, I'm going to do this. Oh, it seems too simple. Let their vibration liberate. Yes, give it a chance. And forget everything else you did. Because if it worked, you wouldn't be here. Okay? It's brought you to this point. It's not what you know. It's what you're experiencing. That's the only thing important.
It's 5 years I'm practicing the system, and I have been very steady with that. My friends ask me, how do I do? And I tell them it's fácil, it's easy, it's great, and it's 1 hour from here, we are in Colima, and I see they don't do the step to come or learn in the system. My question is, where comes the willing from to take that decision? And the second one is related. The Christ push comes with it, with the will of taking the willpower to grow.
Okay, the thing is this. People see something and they're curious, yes? But then they let it go. Why? Because they feel fear. You know, people are very comfortable watching things, listening to things, but the actual step to decide to heal is terrifying for most people. Because why? It means change. Your heart knows you will change. And you swear that you want to change. But do you? Most people don't want to change. Most people don't want to change. They'll keep recreating the same situations. And when you have to do deep work and really look at yourself, it takes a lot of responsibility and a lot of courage. So they see your changes and they want, but they don't want. Okay? Because really, I'm not so bad. And I've got more important things to do. I can be watching the Olympics. And there's not a television there. You know, and that's one thing. There's always an excuse of the ego not to become more. The second question. Some people have a profound desire to understand, to know truth, to experience freedom. Their consciousness calls to them. And it's so strong, that calling, they can't resist it. And this is what you're talking about. Lots of people have that. Well, not lots. Some people have that too. And that's pulling them all the time. That deep question. ¿Por qué? Why am I here? Why am I suffering? Is this how it has to be? Where's God? What is God? What is love? You know, all of these questions, these deep questions, can only be answered experientially. You can read it, you can go to church, you can study holy books, but until it's your experience, it's an idea, it's a belief. And this is beyond belief. There's no belief. There's only pure experience. Okay, so you become the greatness of who you are. And that takes extreme courage. So there's two types of people. Well, there's three types of people. There's people that really have to know the truth and can't live with that question. I was one of those people. And I had that question from when I was this big. It was very important for me. There's other people that are sick of suffering and they want to change. And they've tried everything in their normal lives and they can see it doesn't work. And then they're thirsty for change. Okay? And there's other people that talk about it but don't have the courage to do it. Because there's something in them that's so strong, they're too afraid. And then there's other people that convince themselves that their lives are great. Everything's perfect. They're the worst. Because they don't evolve. They live in ignorance with their eyes closed. And life's about evolution. Becoming more love, more love, more love. Becoming the greatness of who you really are. Instead of this illusionary human. Suffering, living in duality, doubting, full of guilt, not really enjoying the magnificence of creation. Okay.
What can we do when we are in our daily life to continue maintaining the sensation of being here at the center?
Firstly, I don't know if everyone thinks this is paradise because they're moving so much rubbish. I want to get out of here. The thing about this place, you're right. You know, everyone's doing the same thing, massive energy, and everyone's moving, and everything starts to move. The energy creates that. Unifying for so many hours creates that. And also, you're in a safe environment to be vulnerable, to speak your truth, to move all your rubbish
mover toda su basura
intensively.
de manera intensa.
When you go out,
Cuando salen de aquí,
you start to unify for an hour,
empiezan a unificar por una hora,
or maybe 2.
o tal vez dos,
There's not the energy,
no está la misma energía,
so you're not going to move as much.
así que no van a estar moviendo tanto.
And you will create exactly what you
Y
need
van a crear exactamente lo que cada uno necesita
in each
en cada
moment.
momento.
But you're not putting yourself in a
Pero no
situation
se van a poner en situaciones
where you don't feel
en
supported.
que no se sientan apoyados.
Firstly, you can communicate with us at any time.
Puedes comunicar con nosotros en cualquier momento.
Secondly, there's a lot of online
Hay
things,
muchísimas cosas online,
meetings, workshops,
los talleres,
all sorts of
todo
things
tipo de cosas
that keep you focused
que no tienen
on the
enfoque
expansion of
de la
consciousness.
conciencia.
Now, speaking your truth,
El hablar tu verdad
it starts to become habitual
empieza a tornarse habitual,
because it's something
porque es algo
that you feel the calling to do.
que te sos llamada a hacer eso.
Feeling your emotions
Esas emociones
starts to become natural,
empieza a ser algo natural.
and you won't be thinking
Y no vas
about
a
it.
estar pensando siquiera en
You know, if you're angry,
Si estás enojado,
maybe you go into the bathroom
tal
and
vez vas
scream
al
into
baño,
your bag, or
gritas en tu cartera,
or you know, if you're sad,
si estás triste,
you'll connect.
te vas a conectar.
But everything will be easy for you to
Pero
manage,
todo va a ser fácil que lo manejes.
and it'll become something very normal.
Y va a ser algo súper normal.
You know, when we project into the future,
Cuando nos proyectamos al futuro,
we have this idea
tenemos esta
that we're
idea
going to create all these horrible
de que
situations,
es horrible,
but it's not like that.
no es así.
Everything's manageable.
Todo va a ser manejable.
And within your personal
Y en tus
relationships,
relaciones personales,
you know, maybe your husband doesn't do it,
tal vez tu marido no practica
or your wife doesn't do
tu
it.
esposa no practica
You
esto,
can have a little pillow
pero puedes tener tu almohadoncito
and you can scream in that.
y gritar ahí.
Like, learn to move everything
Aprender a mover todo.
and explain to people what you're doing.
Y decirle a las personas lo que estás haciendo.
You know, obviously you're not going to go into a board meeting and start screaming in a pillow.
Obviamente, no te vas a ir a un meeting de la empresa y vas a sacar la almohada para gritar.
You know,
No,
you're going to use your
vas
brains.
a usar tu cerebro en ese
Yeah. Excuse me. But you can go into the bathroom and do it
paso. Pero sí puedes ir al baño y hacerlo.
instead of projecting over the boss.
Y en vez de proyectar encima del jefe.
Okay, so you'll start to take responsibility. But we'll be supporting you,
Pero nosotros vamos a estar apoyándote.
you know, so you keep growing,
Que puedas seguir creciendo,
that you keep
que
unifying.
puedas seguir unificando.
It's in your hands. If you want support, we're here.
Recibir apoyo, estamos aquí.
Yeah.
I dance for hobby contemporary,
Hago danza
and especially in contact improvisation you have to be really present,
súper presente.
and I experience really joyful feelings. I feel great. I mean, and is it possible to achieve that same feeling only when unifying, because dance is also the external, and if it's taken from me, you know.
You know, the thing is, if you're being creative and you're expressing yourself, you're perfectly in the moment. And you're creating from that divine place. It's just coming naturally. It's like it's coming from God. You should be able to live in that energy. Maybe not so exalted, but permanently anchored in that space of peace and joy, enjoying everything. That's the focus of the system. Not just when you're unifying, but when you're living. So you have that reference. And that reference is very important, because artistic people have that reference. They can be singing and they get lost in that. They forget about the audience. They're just purely doing it for them. You can be doing it with music, purely for you, getting lost in their creativity. You can be painting. And all of that's perfect. It's a perfect expression of love. Okay, so remember that. Remember that space. Because you can create that in your life. And that's what's important. That it's a permanent experience. And when you unify, sometimes it will be amazing. And sometimes it'll be horrible. You'll be like, I can't get comfortable, it's so boring, I hate the facets, I'm lost in that. It changes all the time. But at some point, you'll be there all the time. You'll be able to find that space like this. Even without the facet, just boom. Oh yeah, I'm there. And you'll start to live there. But it's a process. You know, like dancing. It's a process.
Question. I feel love lots. But when somebody tells me that loves me, many times in relationships especially, I get uncomfortable and sometimes even I feel afraid. I run away. I was told I express and I'm feeling it, the fear. But sometimes it's difficult. Can you tell me something about it?
Oh, because love comes with such a big responsibility. Yes? And you've got to let that idea go. You're so used to sustaining everything, you're not open to receive. And you're easy to give love. Very easy. But you've got to open to receive it. And what's to be afraid of? Because in your head, there's this responsibility, not feeling good enough. But it's so small now. It's like your little drama. You don't even talk about the ex anymore. Thank God. I listened to that for God knows how many years. He'd stand up and go, the ex. And see that. And just open to receive. You're nothing to do with that person. You're amazing. I love you. Does it make you nervous? No. Because you know it's unconditional. But you have to open for that. Because it's what you deserve. Because you give everything. You're such an incredible man. And you need to see that.
I was able to see that it's important to stop judging oneself. And for me, it's important to have an advice of how teach this in my daughter, like not ignore the limits, but at the same time not to judge. What can I do for her to grow, but without being hard with herself?
You know, I think the most important thing is you have to you have to trust in yourself as a mother. And see that place where you're controlling out of fear that you're going to lose something, where you're not allowing her to be herself, and start to trust more. Trust in your decisions, but question them. Why am I putting that limit? Is it because I'm afraid that something's going to happen to her and I won't be able to handle it? These are the questions you have to ask yourself. Because so often we control our children because of our own fear, our own projections, our own limitations. But we also have to have the clarity to trust in our experience. So as you become more and more consciousness, you'll be clearer with that. You know, and you can't make a mistake. The minute you ask that question, you're already a conscious parent. You know, bad parents, they don't even ask. They don't care. Okay, so you have to trust in yourself. Good.
But my question is, how can I let go? Because I'm told when somebody does something to me, it hurts and remains in the head, repeating the same. It's hard to let go. But I'm told, let go. How? How do I let go?
You have to move the energy. You know, no one can make you feel anything if that's not within you. So you have to connect with what you feel and let the energy go. And then once you let the energy, you'll stop thinking about it. If you're thinking constantly about something, or judging, or not feeling good enough, or feeling judged, you have to move the energy. And once you move it, you'll see it's nothing to do with them. They're just mirroring something that you already experience. You know, we have so many judgments with ourselves, but if someone says something to us, we get offended, like, how can you say that? But we're thinking it all the time. And we get so angry when someone says it. So do the opposite. Don't get annoyed. Get connected. And when you're connected, move the energy, and then you'll see it as a gift. You'll see it as a gift. Oh, it was good they said that. Yeah, it's true. I do think that. I do feel that. I can move it now. Now it doesn't affect me. Judgment within, judgment without. This is a mirror. Yeah? Good.
I want to ask you, from where comes the insecurity and the indecision? Can you tell me from where it comes?
It comes from within. We have this fear of not succeeding, not being good enough, because we've been trained to be goal-orientated, and we're scared we're going to make a mistake. And this is the biggest illusion, because you can never make a mistake. You can just have an experience. It might be an experience you enjoy. It might be an experience you don't like. It doesn't matter, because within each experience, you evolve. So we have to change the chip of the fear of making a mistake. And that's why we get into indecision, because we're afraid. If I take this and it doesn't succeed, or maybe I should take this and it will succeed, and we end up here not doing anything, and then we start to suffer. We need to make one choice and move into it 100%. But see that it's the journey. It's not the goal. It's the experience. And then we can change. Oh, this was great. But if you're not clear, the universe won't support you. If you're doing this, because the universe wants to give you everything. I just demonstrated that. Whatever you want, but you have to be clear. Because when you're in indecision, nothing can align to support you. It just becomes a mess. If you think a laser can go to the moon, a big light cannot. A laser can go directly to the moon because of the focus. The focus. Yeah?
And what I wanted to do today was to take advantage that we have the public, because I have panic to speak in public. And it always happens that my heart starts running, I start shaking, and it doesn't allow me just to talk as I want. Sometimes I feel it's because I'm afraid, I don't know, to make a mistake or something like that. So it's something I get blocked with, and I would like to know how to overcome. Because since long ago I'm trying to focus, and for this not to affect me, but I cannot do it.
Okay. First, you've made the first step. Because you're challenging your fears. And look, you didn't die. It all went very well, no? Okay, the thing is, we have an image problem. We're worrying about what people think. What if I say something stupid? What if I don't look good on camera? What if it's not intelligent? What are they going to think? Blah, 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 blah. And so we focus on this fear, and it gets worse and worse and worse and worse until we're at the point that we don't do anything. We get paralyzed. When we start to cultivate consciousness, we start to sit in that space and we become spontaneous without thinking. It just comes. And this will happen. The more you unify, the more you trust in yourself. Consciousness sustains you. I can talk in front of 1 million people. Before I had consciousness, I remember the first time I sang in public, I thought I was going to die. I was standing behind the guitarist like this. I was so shy. It's hard to imagine, no? You can't imagine that I was shy. Chronically shy. The only way I could be out was drinking. But sober? No way. Okay, so it's just about cultivating consciousness and becoming spontaneous. And it will happen naturally. But doing what you did now, it becomes easier and easier and easier and easier and easier. It'll become simple. You start trusting in yourself, then you start to enjoy it, then you stop judging yourself, and that will transpire in every aspect of your life. Renata? Yes? Good.
Come visit our webpage for books, movies, and our wonderful retreat centers. Isha's simple yet powerful system is transforming lives around the world.